Hi, I'm Ken Turner, the President and the CEO of the Massachusetts Life Sciences Center. Our verdant ecosystem is home to a wide range of companies, from early stage to global leaders. They're finding new therapies and treatments to improve patient care. Throughout the month of September, my team will bring awareness around sickle cell disease, a disease that is not only personal to me, but affects 6.4 million people worldwide. For those who aren't as familiar, sickle cell disease is a hereditary red blood cell disorder that was first discovered in 1846. The disease is predominantly diagnosed in individuals of African descent, but those of Hispanic, Middle Eastern, and Asian and Mediterranean backgrounds are also commonly impacted. Although the disease has been around for over 175 years and is the most common genetic disease in the United States, affecting roughly 100,000 people, we know more resources and more funding for research are needed. Sickle cell disease is a global health equity crisis we all need to care about. The patients are waiting. At Novartis, my team had the privilege to sit down with two renowned champions, Dr. Patrice Matchaba, head of U.S. Corporate Responsibility and president of the Novartis US Foundation, and Dr. Stevenson, executive director at the Novartis Institutes for BioMedical Research, to learn more about the work that they are doing.
So actually, our work with Novartis started, I would say, about 2 decades ago. Some folks will remember the ion chelation compound called XJ. But we really stepped it up when we in-licensed the monoclonal antibody, which is a selectin P1 inhibitor in 2019. But quickly had a discussion with VAS and the executive committee that although there are 100,000 sickle cell patients in the US who are predominantly African American, 90% of the disease burden is in sub-Saharan Africa. So we started a discussion with the Sickle Cell Foundation with Prof. Koff, who is now late, and then launched the Novartis Ghana Africa Sickle Cell program in Davos in 2019, and quickly realized that even though we could offer training and support, there wasn't any universal newborn screening, which is what you need, right? Because it is so prevalent in West Africa. So we invited a point of care diagnostic called HEMEX, which is the size of a toaster, which can now diagnose cord blood or blood taken at vaccination clinics. To our dismay also, there's a drug called hydroxyurea, which was approved by the FDA for sickle cell, but had not been registered in Africa, was expensive, was costing patients about $100 per month in sub-Saharan Africa. So we had an internal discussion, and Sandoz took over the manufacturing of hydroxyurea and also manufactured a pediatric formulation. As you know, the majority of patients are babies. And so this is how we started the program together, and the Centers of Excellence for Training, a local Boston technology company called Dimaji helped us with an app to manage the patient visits, to manage the dosing, because the dosing changes with age. And now we've extended their program to 6 other African countries. The intention is that within 2 years, it will be in all sub-Saharan African countries. And ASH has joined, as you know. But we're also doing work with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which I'll ask Susan to talk about, because we actually feel the answer lies in a curative therapy. Susan, maybe you want to talk about the gene therapy work we're doing with Bill and Melinda Gates and the new acquisition. It's a top line.
Sure. So we have recently entered into a collaboration with the Gates Foundation to develop a single administrative curative gene therapy cure that can be taken into these low and middle income countries in sub-Saharan Africa. And so we're focused on leveraging all of the learnings that we have developed over the last several years with working on our ex vivo CRISPR edited stem cell program to guide us in terms of developing the in vivo gene therapy therapeutic. And again, this would potentially allow for a single administration curative therapies that would target the hematopoietic stem cells in vivo versus what we're currently doing now with having to isolate the hematopoietic stem cells to modify them in our ex vivo program. And so we're really excited. We're at the very beginning of our collaboration with the Gates Foundation, but we're making great progress, and we're looking forward to developing this in vivo gene therapy and treating treating the majority of the patients where they're located in fact, sub-Saharan Africa, as you heard from Patrice.
Thanks, Susan. I think the other topic that is really on everybody's minds is that why is it that sickle cell that was discovered almost 150 years ago in Chicago? There's records of it actually spanning centuries. And we now know using genome-wide sequencing that the first mutation actually happened in the Sahara 7,000 years ago. The Sahara used to be a desert, and everybody knows that if you have the trait, which is just the single gene, it protects you against malaria. But if you have two both defective genes, those patients are susceptible to infections because they knock out their spleens as babies very early, so they can't protect themselves. And of course, they die from malaria. And the number one reason for strokes in sub-Saharan Africa actually is sickle cell disease. So it's actually disturbing that a disease that is a simple Mendelian autosomal recessive has taken so long for us to start finding biologically active drugs. And I'm really grateful to Susan and the team and Bill and Melinda Gates on the gene therapy work that they're doing. But we need to do more in the US. The problem here is that with 100,000 patients we have, they are predominantly African American. They don't have physicians or nurses who look like them. Because of the frequent crisis, they require opioids. So you can imagine they go to casualty or emergency room in the US. They are frequently visiting for opioids and asking for opioids, and people sometimes treat them as if they're junkies. What we need to do in the US is to destigmatize it. That's the first thing. Second, I think we need to build community care models and train more people who look like the patients who have sickle cell so that they are managed within their communities. That is a significant part of our Beacon of Hope strategy, which we launched to try and make sure that we can train and concentrate on diseases of health inequity.